The sun had set over the small village, casting a warm orange glow over the thatched roofs of the houses. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming cherry blossoms and the soft chirping of crickets. In a tiny hole in the wall of an old temple, a little mouse named Kato was busy preparing for the biggest event of the year, the Mouse Sumo Wrestling Tournament. Kato was a small, quick mouse with a big heart and a passion for sumo wrestling. He had been training for months, eating special foods to build his strength and practicing his moves in front of the mirror. His shiny black fur was perfectly groomed, and his bright brown eyes sparkled with excitement. As he scurried around his cozy little home, he whispered to himself, "Tonight is the night, I will be the champion." Outside, the villagers were gathering in the town square, setting up the sumo ring and preparing the food stalls. The smell of freshly cooked rice and savory meats wafted through the air, making Kaido's stomach growl with hunger. He took a deep breath, put on his favorite sumo belt, and scurried out of his hole to join the crowd. As he arrived at the town square, Kaito saw his friends and fellow sumo wrestlers, all dressed in their finest sumo gear. There was Momo, the gentle giant, with his fluffy white fur and powerful build. Next to him stood Sakura, the quick and agile mouse, with her bright pink nose and mischievous grin. Kaito's eyes widened as he saw the other competitors, each with their unique skills and strengths. The sun was setting fast, casting a golden light over the sumo ring. The villagers were chatting and laughing, enjoying the festive atmosphere. Kaito felt a sense of calm wash over him as he looked around at the familiar faces. He knew that tonight would be a night to remember, a night of friendship, fun, and fierce competition. As the tournament was about to begin, a wise old mouse named Sensei appeared at the edge of the ring. His long, white whiskers twinkled in the fading light, and his eyes shone with kindness. "Welcome, young sumo wrestlers," he said in a gentle voice. "Tonight, we gather to celebrate the art of sumo, to test our strength and our hearts. May the best mouse win, and may we all enjoy the journey together." The crowd erupted in cheers and applause, and Kaito felt his heart fill with excitement and anticipation. He took a deep breath, puffed out his chest, and shouted, "I'm ready to rumble." The other mice laughed and cheered, and the tournament began. The night was young, and the sumo wrestling was about to start. The moon was rising high in the sky, casting a silver glow over the village. The air was filled with the sound of laughter and cheering, and the smell of delicious food wafted through the air. Kaito felt his senses come alive, and he was ready to take on the challenge. The sumo wrestling tournament had begun, and Kaito was ready to give it his all. As the first match began, Kaito watched with wide eyes, his heart pounding with excitement. The two mice facing each other in the ring were evenly matched, their movements swift and powerful. The crowd cheered and chanted, urging them on. Kaito felt his own muscles tense, as if he were the one fighting. He was completely absorbed in the moment, his senses heightened, and his spirit soaring. The match ended, and the winner was announced. Kaito applauded along with the crowd, feeling a sense of joy and camaraderie. He knew that he would be up soon, and he was ready. The moon was shining brightly overhead, casting a magical glow over the village. The night was full of wonder, and Kaito was ready to take on whatever came next. The sound of the wind rustling through the bamboo trees outside the village created a soothing melody, a gentle accompaniment to the sumo wrestling tournament. The smell of incense wafted through the air, adding a sense of tranquility to the scene. Kaito felt his nerves calm, and his focus sharpen. He was ready to face his first opponent, and he was determined to win. The night was still young, and the sumo wrestling tournament was just getting started. The next match was about to begin, and Kaito's name was called. He stood up, his heart beating faster, and walked to the ring. His opponent was a tall, slender mouse named Akira, with a calm and focused expression. Kaito bowed to Akira, and the crowd cheered. Sensei shouted, "Hajime," and the match started. Kaito and Akira circled each other, their eyes locked, searching for an opening. The air was filled with tension, but Kaito felt a sense of calm, as if the moon's gentle light was guiding him. He charged forward, his paws swift and powerful, but Akira dodged with ease. The crowd gasped, and Kaito stumbled back, his fur fluffed up with surprise. Akira smiled, and Kaito felt a surge of determination. He charged again, his movements faster and more precise. The two mice clashed, their bodies entwined, and the crowd erupted in cheers. The match ended, and Kaito was declared the winner. He bowed to Akira, and the crowd applauded. Kaito felt a sense of pride and joy, his heart filled with the thrill of victory. As he walked back to his seat, Sakura ran up to him, her bright pink nose twitching with excitement. "Kaito, you were amazing," she exclaimed. "I knew you could do it." Kaito smiled, feeling happy and relieved. "Thanks, Sakura," he said. "I couldn't have done it without your support." The two friends hugged, and the crowd cheered. The night was filled with laughter and music, the sumo wrestling tournament a celebration of friendship and community. Kaito felt grateful to be a part of it, to be surrounded by such kind and talented mice. The wind rustled through the bamboo trees, creating a soothing melody that filled the air. The smell of incense wafted through the village, adding a sense of tranquility to the scene. Kaito felt his senses come alive, as if the night itself was a living, breathing creature. The tournament continued, with each match more exciting than the last. Kaito watched, his eyes wide with wonder, as the mice clashed and tumbled in the ring. The crowd cheered and chanted, urging them on. The moon was high in the sky, casting a silver glow over the village. The air was filled with the smell of delicious food, and the sound of laughter and music. Kaito felt his heart fill with joy, his spirit soaring. He was living in the moment, his senses heightened, and his spirit free. The sumo wrestling tournament was more than just a competition. It was a celebration of life, a celebration of friendship and community. Kato felt grateful to be a part of it, to be surrounded by such kind and talented mice. As the night wore on, the matches became more intense, the competition fierce. Kato's next opponent was a strong and powerful mouse named Taro, with a fierce determination in his eyes. Kato felt a sense of trepidation, but he was ready. He stood up, his heart beating faster, and walked to the ring. The crowd cheered, and Sensei shouted, "Hajime." The match started, and Kaito charged forward, his paws swift and powerful. The two mice clashed, their bodies entwined, and the crowd erupted in cheers. The match was intense, the outcome uncertain. Kaito felt his senses come alive, as if the night itself was guiding him. He was completely absorbed in the moment, his heart pounding with excitement. The match ended, and Kaito was declared the winner. He bowed to Taro, and the crowd applauded. Kaito felt a sense of pride and joy, his heart filled with the thrill of victory. The night was wearing on, the sumo wrestling tournament nearing its end. Kaito felt a sense of sadness, as if the magic of the night would soon come to an end. But he was also excited, for he knew that the final match was yet to come. He would face the strongest mouse of all, the champion of the tournament. Kaito felt a sense of trepidation, but he was ready. He was ready to face whatever came next, to give it his all, and to emerge victorious. The moon was still shining brightly overhead, casting a magical glow over the village. The air was filled with the sound of laughter and music, and the smell of delicious food wafted through the air. Kaito felt his senses come alive, as if the night itself was a living, breathing creature. He was ready to face the final challenge, to give it his all, and to make the night one to remember. The final match was about to begin, and the crowd was on the edge of their seats. Kato's opponent was a majestic mouse named Akira, with a shimmering silver coat and piercing green eyes. Akira was the reigning champion, and his presence was both calm and intimidating. Kaito felt a sense of awe, but he stood tall, his heart beating with determination. Sensei shouted "Hajime," and the match started. The two mice faced each other, their eyes locked in a fierce stare. The crowd was silent, holding its breath in anticipation. Kaito and Akira circled each other, their paws barely touching the ground. The air was electric with tension, and the moon seemed to be shining brighter, as if to illuminate the final showdown. The match began, and the two mice clashed in a flurry of movement. Kaito felt his senses come alive, his body responding to every twist and turn. The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices rising and falling with each exchange. But as the match wore on, the pace began to slow. The mice were evenly matched, each one refusing to give in. The crowd grew quieter, their voices hushed in respect for the two combatants. Kaito and Akira were lost in the moment, their hearts pounding in unison. The night air was filled with the sound of their heavy breathing, and the smell of sweat and determination. As the match reached its climax, the crowd held its collective breath. Kito and Akira were locked in a final, desperate struggle. The outcome was uncertain, and the tension was palpable. But then, in a flash of movement, it was over. Kito emerged victorious, his paws raised in triumph. The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices ringing out across the village. Akira bowed to Kito, a smile on his face. "You are a worthy champion," he said, his voice filled with respect. Kito bowed back, his heart filled with pride and gratitude. As the crowd dispersed, the village grew quiet. The moon was still shining brightly overhead, casting a silver glow over the scene. Kito walked through the village, his paws barely making a sound on the soft earth. The air was filled with the smell of incense and the distant sound of laughter. But as he walked, the sounds grew fainter, and the village grew still. The mice retired to their homes, their hearts full of joy and contentment. Kito reached his own home, a small hut on the outskirts of the village. He lay down on his bed, his body weary but his heart at peace. The moon shone through the window, casting a gentle light over the room. Kito closed his eyes, feeling the softness of his bed and the warmth of the night. He breathed deeply, his chest rising and falling with each breath. The village was quiet, the night was still, and Kito was at peace. The darkness deepened, and the stars twinkled like diamonds in the sky. The wind rustled through the bamboo trees, creating a soft melody that filled the air. Kito's breathing grew slower, his body relaxing into the stillness of the night. His heart was full of joy and gratitude, his spirit at peace. The world outside was quiet, the village asleep, and Kito was drifting off into a deep and dreamless sleep. The moon shone down on him, its light gentle and soothing. The night was dark and still, and Kito was surrounded by the peacefulness of the universe. He was one with the night, his heart beating in time with the stars. And as he slept, the world grew quieter, the darkness deeper, and the stillness more profound.